They are busy writing, recording in their bedrooms and basements, releasing tidbits on their social media. Who are they? Well, they are the new music artists coming out of this pandemic. And some of them have been born through all of this. Others are veterans who have pivoted to make sure that they are still relevant to all of their fans. It is just more than one song. So tonight, we're going to get up close and personal with the artists, the business, and where the music industry is going to go in the future. Welcome to an evening special edition of Hue at Home. I'm Tracy Koga, and this is Diversity in Music. Well, welcome everybody. I just want to say this is very special for me because when in my former career at a local TV station, I did a lot of arts and entertainment, and music was definitely fond in my heart. And through all of this pandemic, I can't tell you how I've missed live music. So tonight I want to bring everybody together, and it's so cool because working and partnering with Bad Parade, a publicity company, now we can really get into the whole business of it. And normally, yes, we start right away with the artist, but you know what? We're gonna wait because we're gonna talk business. And so right off the hop, I wanna welcome Danny Olivia. You are an entertainment lawyer and a music agent. So my first question to you is, how did you become an entertainment lawyer and not a lawyer defending people?
Well, I've been interested in entertainment law for a very long time, the music industry specifically. Prior to going to law school, I was working in the entertainment industry, specifically in music, from a very young age, and decided that there were a few folks in the entertainment industry that I really admired. Chris Taylor is a Canadian entertainment lawyer, as well as Suzanne Abramovich. I admired both of them very much, and I thought that's what I want to do. Chris specifically because he had a music label as well as an entertainment law firm, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. So now let's talk business. How important is it to, for artists like we're going to see tonight, to also know the business side and possibly have a lawyer? And how does the entertainment law all work?
It's really important. I think as soon as an artist can connect with, meet an entertainment lawyer, if you can do it right off the jump, it's a great idea. There's a lot of entertainment lawyers that work in music that oftentimes will befriend artists, provide pro bono advice, especially at the initial stages. So yeah, I definitely recommend as soon as you can meet an entertainment lawyer, be it it's a mixer or you reach out to somebody that you know that does work with creatives, it's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you have a close relationship with Carrie, who we're going to certainly meet right away, her company Bad Parade. What is it about Bad Parade that really fit with you and you wanted to do work with?
I love Carrie. Carrie has like a hustle that I feel like we kind of vibrate at the same level, if you know what I'm saying. We're both really interested in helping artists succeed, and we both have an excellent work ethic, and we're able to bounce ideas off each other in that way. So definitely have a lot of respect for Bad Parade and Carrie and what she does.
So Danny, let's now get into the business of things. Definitely we've seen diversity. Diversity in artists is what I'm really looking at. Is there, going forward, is there equality and equity as well in the industry?
I would say no. Historically, I've been doing this for over 17 years, and I've
Mm-hmm.
worked globally in the music industry. And historically, it was a lot more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Being a transgender person, I was a woman and presented as a woman, and it was difficult for me as a woman in the entertainment industry. And I would say it's as an LGBTQ person, it was hard then, and still is now in the entertainment industry. Though I have to say that there's been a lot of change. I'm noticing that labels and publishers specifically have more diversity in hiring initiatives. I'd say that that's the same for some of the industries such as PR, legal, and so on. And so it is getting better, though I think it's far from equal, you know.
What can we do about it? And I was going to ask also marketability, because definitely that is something that is important. And then how important does race and gender and all of that play into it? And how can we change this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm the right person specifically to talk about race, but I'd have to say that you know, for artist marketability, we have specific months that companies tend to skew towards. So, for example, there might be Black History Month, or right now it's Indigenous Heritage Month in Canada. Prior to that, there was Mental Health Awareness Month. There's Pride Month. And so I do think that this helps artists gain visibility, but at the same time, it would be nice to get an LGBTQ artist covered outside of Pride Month, for example. So, it's a double-edged sort of thing. I forgot the other half of your question. I apologize.
No, 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 that's okay too. Again, it was just more or less what we as consumers, as people that love to listen to music, how do we have a say too to help, you know, move forward and give all of these artists a chance?
Yeah, I mean, you can ask artists how to support, but doing a simple thing like following somebody on Spotify or liking and commenting on their pages on Instagram, going to their shows, paying for merchandise. I'd say especially paying for merchandise and paying, certain fees that go specifically to the artist, which merch if they're playing a live show does. Yeah, so there are different ways that fans can engage with artists specifically to help boost their persona, their brand, and also help support them in their art.
Mm-hmm. So definitely, Danny, you come with a great amount of experience. And of course, my question, if I was a budding artist, what would catch your eye? What does an artist need today to be successful?
The first thing that I look for always is somebody who truly knows who they are, truly understands their sound and knows who they are as a person and has that confidence. Second thing is you have to be a good person. I really, truly only work with people that I like, that are professional and truly care about other people. And the third thing that I always look for is a uniqueness. Is this music? Is this music vibe? Is it something that I've heard before, or is there something specifically unique about this person that I like? And it can range from somebody's sound to simply their personality.
Oh, that's wonderful. And of all of this, Danny, I mean, being in this business, and you know what? We need to grow and go beyond. But for you, what personal satisfaction have you gained, whether working with artists or providing lawyer advice?
I would say really helping a developing act succeed and then seeing them succeed is my favorite part of this business period. And like anytime I can help a creative person resolve a contentious dispute in a way that is satisfactory to them, or do my best to help something come to a close, that's also very satisfying to me.
Okay, the future of the music industry out of this pandemic. Well, we know that there's concerts already happening. So are we going to go back to big, huge stadium live shows, and all of these artists here tonight will go back on the road and pack the houses, or is it going to be a combination of virtual and touring?
I think what we're going to see is a combination. I think that the pandemic has led to artists figuring out how to use various different platforms in a new way that I think is going to actually carry over past the pandemic, which I think is absolutely wonderful. In addition to that, I think we are going to go back to stadium concerts and so on. We're already seeing, festivals like Lollapalooza ready to go. And so I think that what's still being impacted is travel for artists due to some of the situations related to COVID and sometimes visas and travel. But in terms of live performance, I think we're going to go back to everything how it was, for better, for worse.
Well, you know what, Danny, you're in LA. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And like I said, business is business, and you do have to leave. But thank you for opening the show and shedding some light on the importance of an entertainment lawyer and everything like that, because it's something that maybe a lot of artists don't really think about, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Bad Parade, thank you very much for having me. And all these artists on this Zoom are absolutely wonderful. So I can't wait for everybody listening to hear them.
Okay.
You take care.
Bye,
All right,
Danny.
goodbye.
All right. So I want to go then with Carrie Zalek and her company, Bad Parade. All right, so we heard a little bit from Danny about the business side of it. And now let's go to the marketing and talk about Bad Parade as a publicity company. Carrie, first of all, let's talk about your mission statement, your mandate to even start Bad Company. Or Bad Parade. Bad Parade, sorry.
Bad Parade.
I know.
So, I very much believe that music isn't something that you see. It's something you hear. And we've all felt so many different feelings when we hear music. And sure, if there's a video, we get to engage with it and see the artist and experience it that way. But what's most important is you liking what you hear. And I was really inspired by something that Prince said in an interview when he was living in Toronto. And he said, the thing he liked about living here was that everybody could have a parade. And I thought, it's so true. There every weekend on Bloor Street and down Yonge Street, there's some type of parade, protest, something where people can speak their mind, and they can do it freely. And so that was really important to me. I wanted to make sure that, because I know that music doesn't have one look or one sound, that if I was going to run my own company, it would be a company that everyone could come to. And that means anyone, just as long as they're not a jerk. That's the one requirement. But it really does mean everyone. And when I look around and see the artists who are getting attention, I don't see a lot of the people that I want to represent. I see a lot of the same thing. And so it's really important to me that when I'm doing business development, when I'm listening to music, or when artists approach me, that I really get to know who they are and what makes them different and stand out, because we don't see a lot of differences in music here in Canada and around the world. And we should, because music doesn't have a sound, it doesn't have a look or a gender or a color or anything like that. So my goal with Bad Parade and the mission statement is that, everyone is welcome, because everyone should be able to have a parade.
Wow. Now let's talk about the role of a publicist and the importance of it. And, when you're a startup artist, it's tight and it's hard, but, I guess, meeting the artists that are under your banner, Bad Parade, Carrie, and your background too, there definitely is a need for marketing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the thing about publicity. It can help someone who's brand new, who's releasing their first or second track, album, video, or someone who's a seasoned vet who's been on tour for, decades. What publicity does is it gets artists exposure in the media in any market. So here with Bad Parade, I only work with the Canadian media, the Canadian market, and I take artists, whether they're brand new or, seasoned professionals, and I work with them to create a narrative. We talk about them and their music and their story and their history, And we come up with something that I think the media would sort of latch onto, something that's interesting, that has a pull, to get their music out there as far and wide as it can go. It's not, a lot of people want to be an overnight success, and we really know that there's no such thing. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. The artists here tonight will tell you that, it was a slow build. You have to get it going for a few weeks. And, once we really sort of work with the media and harness the relationships that Bad Parade has, target the right media outlets. You're not going to send a pop song to a country station. Once we're off the ground and going, that's when we start to see the payoff. And what I always say is, no matter what genre you are, no matter what type of music you make, a lot of people have trouble defining their genre. They're like, alt pop or pop rock or whatever. You can call yourself whatever you want. There is room. There is a place for you and your art. So I always want to encourage people that even if they don't think they can promote their music themselves and they want to use a publicist, or they want to go about it on their own, there is a home for your music. You just have to find it. So that exposure for an artist is so important, especially at the beginning. But once they're already, going forward, they've been in the industry for a while, they still need coverage. People still need to know that their album's coming out. So everyone could use a little attention.
And for yourself, Carrie, being in this business, a love of music, love for the artist, diversity. And this is what this whole evening is about. And it's diversity in all its wonderful colors, too, as well. The importance of that for you.
Yeah, I'll say when I started Bad Parade, I had 2 clients. I was working with them privately, sort of behind the scenes. I didn't have a company name. I didn't have a website, nothing. It was just me and them. And when I did launch, I realized, okay, I'm going to have to go find clients. And how am I going to do that? And so I started out by looking through some of the music publications that I enjoy reading. And when I went through the people that they've covered, I saw a lot of the same thing. And I just thought, it's kind of boring at this point to hear the same pop song or the same R&B song or the same country song. I like to listen to a wide variety of music. I know a lot of people will say that they love listening to sort of one type of genre, but in reality, is if you are an R&B fan, you can still hear a country song and say, that's good. It's not necessarily my thing, but that's good. And so I wanted to look at artists when I would look at them and see differences. I wanted to hear differences, and I wanted to see a sort of artist group that looks like Toronto, that looks like Canada, that looks like the place that we live. And a lot of these publications that I was going through, sure, you'd see a little bit of diversity, but not what I see when I walk outside in the streets of downtown Toronto. And so I just thought, it's a Canadian music publicity company, and it needs to look and sound like Canada. And so it's a goal of mine that when I'm doing artist development, that I'm looking for people who might not be represented. That being said, certainly the music has to be good. I'll only represent good music. But, I want people who have different backgrounds, who identify in different ways, or are from different races or religions, because we need to see those people. I'll mention that in Canada, just this year, I think it was February, CBC launched a few new shows. One of them was specifically for Black artists. One of them was specifically for what's considered to be international music, although that's debatable. But for sounds that we don't hear. You've spoken to one of my clients who sings in a different language, and the barrier for that in Canada, where a lot of Canadian media will say, it's not English, I don't understand it. But music goes so far beyond language. So, I certainly see a lot of barriers, and we do see change, right? CBC launching these shows is fabulous, but it happened this year. So there's a long way to go. But, the reality is that artists can be great no matter who they are or where they're from or their background, their gender, their race, anything at all. And it's really important that we, as an industry, find them and highlight these artists and let people know about them, because great music exists everywhere.
Thank you. No, and I just want to say is I don't think that we need special shows. I would love to see one show and everybody share the same stage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to get there. I really do
know.
believe it. But,
Yeah.
you know, finally there's a home for different types of music where it really wasn't spotlighted before. If you're singing in another language, it's very, very hard to get on the radio. So, you know, I think we're seeing a change, and we'll take progress. We'll take small steps, and hopefully soon everyone can be together and, you know, celebrate diversity in music that way.
All right, so this is what this whole evening is. Carrie, you know, through the magic of Zoom, you can see all of your artists that are all different parts of Canada. And yeah, hey, JP, Seraphin, Leanna, AV just left, and AV, you are all sharing the same stage, and you're going to all share your same story. You know that it's diversity, so it's not necessarily... So what was your inspiration for this song? This is about you, all right? As the drum roll goes, okay, JP, just because you're next beside Carrie on my screen, you're up.
All right.
Well, so you know what, JP, we have met before, you know, and we touched lightly on your Filipino background, but you know, maybe let's delve into how you even got into music. And yes, we're going to use the Filipino background, you know, love Filipinos, but they want their kids to either be doctors and lawyers or...
Ain't it the truth?
Yeah. So, you know, share your story and how you kind of got it through your parents that I'm going to do music.
Well, so here's the thing, and this will probably answer that question very quickly.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a point of discussion. Like, I wasn't pursuing music. It was more of what will I do with my life that I can provide for myself and potentially a future family. And not to say that, you know, that was kind of like insisted upon me in any bad terms, but like it was out of love. You know, they want to make sure that I have stability when I grow up. And they certainly didn't deter me from music. I was creating music and playing music from a very young age. And I know like people in the Filipino community really enjoy music. We celebrate music. We love singing. I mean, you know, karaoke is like, that's a staple in many Filipino households, and it's great, and it's awesome. Yeah, so like my mom sang a lot, and so I know that for me, even when I was just learning how to talk, I had cassette tapes where they recorded me and I was mimicking like commercials on TV and the melodies, and so, you know, like music has always just been really like ingrained in me. And yeah, and so growing up, you know, taking piano lessons, buying a guitar and learning some chords, and kind of, you know, that like just kind of feeding into that, like it was encouraged, but it certainly was never, this is gonna be the thing that you're gonna do in the future. And yeah, and so while, you know, they liked that I did that, definitely the emphasis was always on school, and making sure that, you know, I went to university and I got a degree, and didn't matter what, just so long as I completed that, I had that in my back pocket, and then I can hopefully find a good job. And that was the focus, that was the priority, and I did that, and I worked like towards my degree. I got that, I got a job, and all the while I still wrote and I still performed, and I guess like where I am now is essentially the vision that they had set out for me. Like, I now have 3 kids. I have a great job, a full-time job. I'm very grateful for that, because that has allowed me now, at a later stage in my life, to fuel my dream of finally creating an album and working with so many great artists and talents out there and collaborating. My job is allowing me to do that. So I don't have any regrets. But yeah, so just to dial back to your original question, yeah, pursuing music as a career was never even on the table.
And here you are. Okay, so now, like JP, you gave us a great kind of your life journey now. So a father of 3 kids and still being able to play music. Are you feeling the age gap, and have you ever felt a little bit of discrimination because you're Filipino?
Yeah, and so I think to just address the latter half of that question, I'm gonna go back a bit. I remember in high school, there were a few of us that were, you know, really into music. We were putting ourselves out there in talent shows and things like that. You know, the things that you do when you're in high school to just have fun. And I remember being in a conversation with an acquaintance, and they too, being Canadian Asian, were sharing with me their thoughts of like, why would you even bother doing this? Like, it's, yeah, like you sound nice, and it looks like you're having fun, but like, why would anyone actually consider this as something any more serious than a hobby? And I was just like, what? Like, it kind of just caught me off guard, and she was really kind of trying to convince me that there was no point in thinking of it in any, you know, greater capacity than a hobby, and that, like, just look out there. Do you see any Filipinos? No. So, like, good luck if you choose to do that. Then it's just going to be a big waste. And so I didn't really let that weigh me down. I've never forgotten that conversation, and you know, and I guess it has sort of, you know, hurt me at you know, some deep levels, but I don't dwell on that. I've just continued to kind of, you know, roll along, work with a whole bunch of people, and then even at the start of when I was playing a lot in Toronto, I worked a lot with the Filipino community because they embraced me, and you know, there were a lot of events that they would put on for the community, and they would welcome me, and I would share original songs, and I did get a lot of my foundation through my community, and I'm grateful for that. And I think that had it not been for that community, I'm not sure if I would have necessarily gotten that same sort of, you know, foundation and that opportunity to build.
Oh, well, you know what? It's a true testament, right, to family. And and believing in yourself.
Right. And sorry, you did have another part of that question, and that was about, like,
Age. Do you feel old?
Yeah, I do. And I actually had a quite a lengthy conversation with Carrie about this, because, you know, it's come to a point where I'm here, I'm doing this right now, but like, why? And like, I always have to dial it back to the fact that, you know, my focus right now is not to be out there and be the next, like, big pop star. I am here because I have a dream to fulfill that I never got to fulfill, you know, before I got married and started a family. I am also doing something for my family, and I'm leaving something for my kids, a legacy piece, because I want to make sure that I have something that represents me long before I'm not here anymore, that, you know, generations and generations after me can look back to and say, oh, that's what JP was about, you know, something that represents my artistry. And so that's my focus. And when I just make sure that I keep to that focus, all the other stuff about feeling old and not feeling relevant anymore, all that stuff, it doesn't matter. I'm fortunate enough that a lot of, you know, people have been gravitating towards what I'm doing, and even in working with Carrie, like she really opened my eyes to like the potential interest that's out there, not just in my community but across the country, and like that really was sort of my aha moment. That and like Carrie said earlier, like there is room for me. Doesn't matter what color I am, doesn't matter what age I am, there's room for me. And so that's, yeah, that was really encouraging.
Aw, beautiful. Thank you so much, JP. We're going to hear from you later on with a song. Can't wait for that. Well, you know, she's been kind of fidgety and, you know, moving around, so I'm going to go to AV. And AV, you're not sound checking, correct?
No, we did that already.
And
Sorry to be fidgety.
Oh, no. And everything's good for the sound check?
I think so, yes. I've got 3 singers with me that I'm very excited to be performing with. And we did our sound check, yes.
Ah, okay. So, Missy, you've been at this for many years, and
Yeah.
we know that the subject tonight is diversity. Obviously, you have seen progress, as in diversity, as in, you know, equality, and I don't know about equity yet, but I think there's still a long way to go. But I'll let you answer that question.
Well, yeah, from where I stand, I mean, yeah, I think that generally speaking, like most institutional things in Western culture, the people in charge at the top who own the keys and to the doors have not been a very diverse amount of people. And so I think there's an inherent bias that people kind of listen for things that they know, and they don't really know how to listen to things that are less familiar with. And so as a result, certain genres and people that make those genres get a lot opportunities that other people that are not like the people who have the power don't get. So I've definitely noticed that, and that's been disappointing to me because my favorite music is more of a worldly kind than a Western European one, let's just say. So I have always, you know, for example, when I've seen folk festivals, I've always been like, aren't folks from everywhere? Like, not just European countries, I thought. And so, you know, they would have like, I had a discussion earlier today about tokenism too, where there'd be like one band from somewhere else that wasn't European as kind of like this, like, I would almost say selfish reflection on the festival or the group to be like, look, see, we thought about it. Look at us. And that was almost worse to me in a way. Like, so I sort of feel like there's still a long way, a lot of thinking to do on behalf of mainstream society to not other and talk about anyone in a gender way or a pigment of the skin way, because we have one mother, and it's like you said, Tracy earlier, like should just be one big party of celebration of humanity. And I think if it really truly was, then there would be organic and natural diversity as a result in what was there, because that's reflective. Good art, actual art reflects culture, and in our culture, including in Canada, there is diversity. So if we're not seeing it, and there's something wrong that is a disconnect from reality, I think.
Yeah.
But that's what I see from where I stand. But, you know, I don't experience it in the same way either, because I haven't, you know, haven't lived experience in that much either. So,
Wow. But you are doing a lot for your own community back in Edmonton.
well, I think my community is doing a lot for me, actually. I mean, it's a two-way street. I
Yeah.
hope it was reciprocal, like a good relationship, you know. And but I
So,
have been performing with
yes.
these singers that I have with me today, who just very generously donated their time as I donated mine weekly every Sunday. We did 26 concerts last year,
Wow.
6 months worth, on my front porch, not too far from here. I'm here at CoLab, which is a really cool arts venue in the inner city, which is designed to help give voice to local artists, especially from the inner city. And but my place is just a few blocks that way, and that's what we did during the pandemic outside, socially distanced, all the rules followed. Our sound technician who's helping today also was our sound technician on the porch. Shout out to Mike Tully behind the desk over there. So yeah, we did that, and my neighborhood, I think what you're alluding to is, yeah, my neighborhood is contains a lot of people that are has a lot of trauma from different reasons, a vast array of reasons, but it manifests itself a lot in mental illness and in addiction, severe addiction issues, and the opioid crisis has been really, really rough around here. So that's pretty in your face, especially the last couple of weeks have been really harsh around here, and we've all had to deal with death in the face quite a lot. Yeah, so I've had to really think a lot more about the reasons that people kind of end up in the neighborhood, if it's not by choice. And also, there's a lot of historical reasons too, and colonial reasons that people of all walks of life struggle with, some more than others, but honestly, a sort of a colonial culture of bullying and rape and pillage is not good for even the winners. And so the people that end up on the streets are all the people that can't cope with the ugliness of that, which technically I think is us all. So yeah, it's caused me to think a lot. It's educated me and schooled me, and I'm still on that journey.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say, A.V., that you're experiencing it firsthand. And when you can see that, you have a better understanding. So even hearing all of your stories tonight, my dream is that other people hearing this will better understand the need and to maybe go out and purchase your music regardless, And I guess lastly too, it's made an impact not only on your community there in McCauley, but it's also extended outwards, right? That you've had people from outside the neighborhood come in.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And that's music making transformation, I think.
I like to think so. Not everybody that's participating today, and not all of the musicians that were on stage, and not all of the audience were from the neighborhood. And in the neighborhood, there's diversity of every kind of way that you could imagine to discuss diversity. Luckily, in a healthy community, you have, people that are in a place of strength, at least momentarily, to help carry the people who are really suffering and going through hard times. That's any healthy community has to have that. And so McCauley has probably kind of an imbalance of that going on. And there's historical and very segregated racist reasons of how that was sort of dumped into Chinatown in Edmonton without the consent or respect of the Asian community. So there's that whole background to it, and obviously, maybe not obviously, colonial, people call it post-colonial trauma, but I think colonial trauma, especially the Indigenous peoples, plays a part as well. So I guess my job, I think, as somebody who's been spared a lot of things, is to try to be sensitive and enabling and to learn from people and listen more and maybe say less, which is, I guess, the opposite of a singer. But I think to be a good musician, you have to be a good listener. I think to be a great musician, you have to be a great listener. So I'm trying to do that.
And how is your relationship with Carrie, and how has Carrie helped you along this journey?
So great so far. I only have been working with Carrie for a few months, but we're just launching our second single today, which is the song we're gonna sing for you. And so far, I've been really super impressed. It's not easy to get publicity during a pandemic when the regular routes of announcing things would be going hand in hand with concerts. So yeah, so far so great. And I'm sort of a fly by the seat of her pants kind of gal. And my singers are like, really? Everybody kind of knows that about me. Carrie has learned that about me too. And but she rolls with it, and it's nice to work with people who are kind of like fluid with with just kind of improv. The pandemic has definitely been a lot of improv for everybody, and then I think just being able to roll with that is, we're all going to have to do a lot of learning on in a lot of ways, and it's been fun. It's been really fun.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Davy, and we can hardly wait to hear your brand new song too as well, and meet your singers. So we'll come back to you shortly. Okay, I'm going to go then to the new kid on the block, Leanna.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm well. I'm so happy to be here with all of you guys.
Well, yeah, and you've had a chance to sort of hear everybody else's story. And just a little sidebar, Carrie was very, very excited about you. She said she's young, but she is so talented, and she named off all of these big singers, and I'm going, oh, wow, okay, yeah, I have to meet this young lady. So, yeah, you are, like, you've kind of blossomed, and you've released music in all of this chaos, and you've garnered fans. And for yourself, I know that you're just starting. Maybe I'll ask you, that we had Danny on earlier, and he said, yeah, it's important for a young artist to have an entertainment lawyer. Do you have one?
No, I have not explored
well,
that.
maybe after this show, Carrie will hook you up with someone she knows. No, but okay, so let's get into this a little bit, Leanna. Besides the music and your passion for it, social media is huge, right? We all know that. And we had actually met before, and I asked you, one of the questions was, do you consider yourself a role model for young Asian women going into music? And what would you say to them?
I mean, like you said, I am still a new artist. I'm just starting out and taking music seriously this year. But yeah, I sure hope so. I always keep at the back of my mind that, I hope to be kind of a role model and someone that I think my younger self could look up to, because I really empathize with the younger generation and just people growing up in this day and age. It's really hard to navigate with all the noise, and there's just so much distraction, and it's hard to focus. But yeah, in my music, I touch upon a lot of mental health topics and personal issues that I've experienced or I've witnessed people close to me encounter. And it's my goal, one of my goals, to connect with listeners through my music and hopefully make them feel more understood and less alone, because for many times in my life I didn't feel like anyone understood how I was feeling, and was very alone in my thoughts, and music really helped me get out of that headspace. So if I'm able to use my music to help other people, then that's the ultimate success for me.
Oh, and talking too as well, or communicating not only through music but just talking to someone. Leanna, like you had spoken about having some depression or moments where you just couldn't cope. Who did you go to, or where did you find, besides music, some help?
I mean, I have close family and friends, luckily, who I'm able to talk to, and during those low points in my life, I was able to have those conversations. I also think that therapy is so much more important than people think, and oftentimes people think that you have to be, at rock bottom to see a therapist, but I feel like it should be as common as seeing your medical doctor, because our mental health is just way more important than most other things, and without it we can't function. So yeah, I think that should be more normalized and more accessible to everyone in the community. But yeah, music also is my personal form of therapy, and I know a lot of artists can relate to that, because there's no judgment. You can just let the lyrics come out, write your own melody, and there's no limits to how your song is supposed to be. So it's very liberating when you're able to create a song that represents who you are, or something very personal that you've experienced that no one else really can understand.
Oh. So Leanna, going back to JP's story, that he talked about this person coming up to him and saying, you're not really pursuing this, like you're just going to do it as a hobby, because look it out there, there's the Ariana Grandes and the Taylor Swifts and whatever down the list. Have you ever experienced any of that?
Yes, not as directly as JP, I feel, but I feel like I've just experienced a lot of small cuts, throughout my life that have added to my insecurity and just fear of pursuing music seriously. Just like small remarks like, yeah, it's okay, like nothing too deliberate, but you feel it even when it's not like directly criticizing you. And yeah, it's hard to overcome that and to push through it, because it's so easy to get caught up in the criticism, and also with comparing yourself to everyone else with social media, and in today's day and age it's impossible to avoid that. So yeah, it's tricky, but I try to remind myself why I do this. And like relating to JP, I also don't want to set these huge expectations for myself to be number one or the top of the charts or anything like that, because at the end of the day, music is something that I love to do, and I would do it if no one was watching and no one cared. So I might as well, put it out into the world and see what happens.
And what has it been like for you to work with Carrie?
It's been a wonderful experience. Yeah, Carrie has really given me the confidence as a new artist, to just put my work out there, and it's incredible to see how, even being so new, that different outlets and media care about my work and actually enjoy it, because I don't have an extensive music background, and I don't have, a huge team behind me to hype me up, so it's just me, myself, and I. But working with Carrie has made me feel like I have, a partner in navigating through the industry and just make me feel like, you know, I can do this, and that I have the ability to be recognized for my work.
Oh. Well, thank you so much, Leanna. And will you be playing a brand new song too as well?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be playing an unreleased track that I just finished up. Yeah,
Yay.
it's about imposter syndrome, and I feel like it's kind of relevant to our
Talk.
panel discussion, and
Yes.
so
Oh,
I'm
good.
really excited to play it for you guys.
Okay, so we're going to get soon onto that, but last but definitely not least, Seraphin.
Hello.
Hello. Okay,
How are you?
I am good. How are you? Well,
I'm
okay.
doing okay.
Okay, so let's just say you've just had your second Pfizer shot.
I have, and I'm holding it together with Scotch tape and water and vitamin C.
And and I'm sorry because I made you because I was just going through it and I said I want to keep her for last, and I totally forgot about. Okay, so
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay.
I love listening. It's so good to listen to everyone's stories, and I was doing little vocal warm-ups because my tongue's swollen. No one told me.
that is I've never heard of that one. Okay,
It's bizarre.
I know. So I'm going to start off. How long have you known Carrie?
I met Carrie in virtually because we're living in plague times. I met her, gosh, I think it was just before, I think it was January, I think. Somewhere around there. You know, time sort of gets strange
Oh, I
during
know.
plague times, right?
Oh, I
So
know.
I know there was snow on the ground. I think it was probably January, early January.
And so why did you want to connect with Carrie?
Oh, why did I want to connect with Carrie? I looked at her website. I did some research just on her. I used to be a journalist, so she's written some stuff, and I don't know. There was something about her I liked. I liked the Canadian content. I liked the fact that she was really supportive of different stuff, and I'm kind of different. So I was like, okay, I like this woman. And then I spoke with her, and I thought, yeah, I have faith in her.
Oh, okay. So you do have a very incredible story, but beyond that too, your genre is jazz. But I think when we met before, you were tinkering with maybe I'm going to do a combination of both. But
Yeah.
besides the music, though, for you, Seraphin, maybe let's talk about your personal journey and where you are today. So you want to share that story?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, exactly. Really, the end. Today, I'm in the Eastern Townships of Quebec, and I am doing something that when I was much younger, I'm talking really younger, I never would dream possible, which is I am living with my son, and I find I have this family that when I, was growing up would have been legally impossible. But thanks to the evolution of society and the evolution of social justice, I was able to adopt a child. I'm able to work. I'm able to do all sorts of things that when I was a kid, I just assumed would be completely verboten for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very aware of the fact that there has been massive change in my lifetime, and very, very grateful to the pioneers that have been part of that. And I like to think that I was sort of in there too, but these journeys were started in the 50s and the 60s, and it's just, yeah, I'm feeling very fortunate these days.
Wow. And you are a role model. So do you feel that we still have a long way to go with gender equality in the music industry, or does it matter?
Well, I'm kind of gender all over the place. So I think so. In the jazz community, for certain, I think that it is still really skewed towards either white instrumentalists in Canada, white instrumentalists, and the the female, there's some amazing jazz vocalists in this country, Geneviève Mercantet, Julie Michaels. There's incredible jazz talent. But one thing you still see is when the young girls come rising up and they're in the little dresses and they're in the hair and they're white, and that is still sort of catnip for the powers that be when it comes to jazz. So I don't think that is gender equality. I think that it's still sort of a kind of sexism that is really rampant still, I think.
So in your career, Seraphin, obviously there have been probably issues that have arisen. You know, was there ever a point where you decided maybe I didn't want to pursue this music career anymore?
When I adopted my son, which was 10 years ago, I had just released an album called Love's Worst Crime, and it was my first album to actually get airplay in the States. But what I discovered upon, receiving this one-year-old child was that there was no space for me in my life to tour, to do anything other than gigs here and there. And I was working as a journalist at the time and a columnist. So I didn't really retire or anything. I just sort of thought, this just doesn't have room right now. And until he was older, just before COVID started, I started thinking, okay, he's 10 years old and more autonomous. And so I didn't really think I was going to quit, but I certainly gave up an idea fairly early on that I would be welcomed with open arms. When I first launched my first album, excuse me, there was Bravo did a little thing on me, and I was National Post did like this center spread, and I thought, this is great, this is wonderful. I'm going to be, here's my career, it's going. And what I found was I started hitting real resistance from the older white guys that were in charge, who thought I was a little bit too different. And that I remember one guy came up to me, and he was a booker for a different club, and I was singing in a club, and he walked up to me and he said, and he was scowling, and I thought, oh, this would be good. And he said, you were singing at a James song, or singing it last. And I said, yes, it's one of my favorites. And he said, you're doing a disservice to jazz, you really should stop. And I remember my manager at the time, James B., looked at him, and he just burst out laughing, and I thought, wow, okay, that's a really, really gross thing to hear. And the awful thing is I heard it many times. I mean, this is going back 15 years, but I heard it more than 3 or 4 times in different ways. You shouldn't sing that song is for this sort of person. This song is a man's song, this song is a woman's, all that kind of stuff happened. And I realized really early on that it was going to be a hit and miss when it came to establishing anything. It took me a long time to do that.
Well, you're here now. You're at home with your son.
Yes,
you have
he's
a wonderful.
Upstairs, so he's very happy. He gets to watch you.
You have a wonderful family and a wonderful life, and a fabulous, fabulous music career. So I'd say.
Well, we're just launching the album. Actually, I have a publicist now in the States, because Carrie is Canadian. She's all Canadian.
Yeah.
So I have a publicist in the States, and they've split the album into 2, a jazz album and a singer-songwriter album. And so the jazz album was released last Friday in the States.
Wonderful.
And the adult contemporary one gets released next week in the States. So it's an exciting time. But I wish Carrie did the States.
Coming soon, coming soon. Okay, everybody, this is the fun part. I get to listen to all this great music, and you get to share. So I just want to say we'll come back after everybody's performed and for a short wrap up. But thank you, everybody, for sharing your story, because this is going to hopefully encourage the next wave, the next Lianas, and the next AVs, JPs, and Seraphins too, right? Because Carrie's nodding her head. She'll take them all. There's a spot on the stage for all of you. All right, you're up, JP.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna grab my guitar.
Guitar? Okay. I love this. And we're just waiting for JP to get his guitar. I'm just doing a little narrative because this also is a podcast too. We don't want people to turn off just because they're hearing no sound. All right.
We're good?
We're good.
All right.
You can introduce the song if you want to.
Yes. Okay, so I am going to play a song called Futuristic Angel. I don't get to play it a lot. This is actually a song that I wrote as a letter to younger JP. So looking back and kind of reflecting on a lot of the insecurities that I had as a young boy, and some of the bullying experiences that I had undergone. And I sort of just wanted to kind of write a letter to that boy and let him know that it's going to be okay, and to kind of just stick to your path. And so that's what the song is about. I hope you enjoy. Little soldier, that's my boy. Hold your head up high. Here's my hand, here's my voice. They won't know you're scared. Know your path, see your path, choose your path, and walk your path. Free to be you, and free to carry on, carry on. Little warrior, don't give in. Let silence be your strength. Rise above the sticks and stones. Let them elevate you. Seeds will find their place and time. Far from light, magnified. Free to be you, and free to carry on, carry on. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And you saw us all clapping.
I did.
Thank you so much, JP. That was awesome.
You're
Oh, and I was going to go to AD. Oh, AD just popped back into the screen. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. You can do a little intro to the song, and away you go.
Sure. Well, what can I tell you? This is a single that is being premiered today on Amplify Music Magazine. So shout out to them. Thanks for doing that for us. And it's the second single from an album that I'm releasing slowly via Carrie, who did a great job with single one. Still getting publicity from that, actually, though we released it in March, and I'm not complaining. This one, I think more or less speaks to what I was saying earlier, so I won't take more time up from that and just play the song. And we're physically distanced 2 meters apart, so Mike, our hardworking technician over there, is going to keep kind of panning back and forth so that you can all eventually see all of us. To my immediate right is Crystal Eo. To in the middle of the singers, Julie and Constantine. And to my far, far right, Joanna Aline. And here's our song. My mama taught me share all my toys. All the kids in the hood came to our sandbox and made enough castles for all the girls and the boys. But look where it's brought me. Now I've been to that hard knock school. Nobody told me it's only when you're young that that's the rule. You gotta say mine. Say mine. Gotta say mine. Gotta say mine. Mine and not yours. Yes, you gotta say mine. Mine and not yours. Say mine. Mine and not yours. Mine and not yours. My papa bought me a little he could. Came to this land and he told his folks it belonged to nobody, at least nobody good. And look where it's brought me. Turns out all the castles are built on the sand. I'm living in this haunted house with way too much blood on his hands. Still saying mine. Say mine, oh mine. Still saying mine. Still saying mine. Mine and not yours. Still saying mine. Say mine, oh mine. Oh yes, that's why this castle has locks on its doors. Still saying mine. Say mine. Still saying mine. Still saying mine and not yours. Still saying mine. Say mine. Oh mine. Oh yes, that's why this castle has locks on its doors. Oh yes, that's why this castle is mine. Mine and not yours. Say mine. Mine and not yours. Mine and not yours. Mine, oh mine. Put walls around what you got. Leave the weak and the meek behind. Ain't that what the good book says? Still saying mine. Say mine. Oh, mine. Oh, still saying mine. Still saying mine and not yours. Still saying mine. Say mine. Oh, mine. That's why this castle has locks on its doors. Still Mine are not yours. Say mine. Mine are not yours. Oh, mine. Mine are not yours. Mine and not yours.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. Thank you, AV. And I'm just going to say the AV chorus. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, don't go away. Up next will be Liana.
Hey again.
Hello again. Are you ready?
Those are some amazing performances from JP and AV. I will be performing, like I said, a song about imposter syndrome. It's actually called Imposter Syndrome, and it's about that feeling of not feeling like you'll amount to anything because the greatest, people have already done the work, and that feeling of being a fraud, kind of like specifically with pursuing music and feeling like all the seats have already been taken. So I hope you like it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do an acoustic version. I'm gonna take these out so I can hear myself.
Okay.
Who am I amongst the greatest? Staring up at the walls. A life that I keep on chasing. When it's all been lived before. Was the last seat taken at the royal ball? Maybe I'll be mistaken if I play the part. Why choose me when the best has been found? When the crown was given out, why choose me? I don't hear you say my name out loud. So what do I do? What choose me when the best has been found? When the crown was given out, why choose me? I don't hear you say my name out loud. So what do I do with myself? Saw a light and then it faded. Or was it in my head? A race that I keep on running. Is it worth finishing? Would it end in failure? If I risk it all, I guess they'll have the others. If I take the fall, why choose me when the best has been found? Why choose me when the crown was given out? Why choose me? I don't hear you say my name out loud. So what do I do? Why choose me when the best has been found? Why choose me when the crown was given out? Why choose me? I don't hear you say my name out loud. So what do I do? But when I close my eyes, all the noise subsides. Iridescent light filling up the sky. So I'm running fast to the finish line, and I'll never stop till the I do with myself? Why choose me when the best has been found? When the crown was given now, why choose me? I don't hear you say my name out loud. So what do I do with myself? What do I do with myself? What do I do with myself?
Wow. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I think that's going to be your next hit, Leanna. I can't
Thank
wait
you
to
so
hear
much.
it. Oh,
Can't wait to share it with you.
oh, thank you so, so much. All right,
Thank you.
now we have Sarah Then.
I'm going to say Leanna's name out loud. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. And wow, I love the other songs, the gospel, and oh, it was beautiful. So this is the single released in Canada back in February, and it's being released next week in the States. And it's an acoustic cover. The album that I released is half originals and half jazz standards. It's an acoustic cover of a pop song I grew up with in the 80s. That it was sort of an up-tempo disco hit, and I always thought it'd be a great torch song. So yeah, so I hope you like it. It's called Take On Me. Talking away, I don't know, but I'm just saying, see it anyway. Today's another day to find you, shine away. I'll be coming for your love, okay? Take on me. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. So needless to say, I'm an awesome as well. I feel I'm stumbling away and slowly learning that life can be okay. Say it with me. It's so better to be safe than sorry. Take on me. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. All the things that you say, is it life or just to play my worries away? Here are all the things I've got to remember you, shine away. I'm still coming for your love any day. Take me on. I'll be gone in a day or two. I'll be gone in a day or two. gone with. Take me on, I'll be gone.
Oh, I think AHA should actually get a copy of that.
They might sue me. No, I gave them their royalties. I gave them.
Oh yeah, you gave them all away. Oh, thank you very much, Seraphim. Beautiful.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you to all of you. It's been such a wonderful, wonderful ride. Just to see a different side of everybody. Carrie, thank you. Any last words?
Yes, absolutely. I first want to thank you, Tracy, for having all of us on and really highlighting the diversity in music that really does exist, even if we don't see it. And I think tonight just showed that, right? 4 different artists with different backgrounds, different sounds, all supremely talented. And when you spoke to each of them, you know, I wanted more from each conversation that you had. They each have such interesting stories and are so unbelievably talented. So these are people that you want to see, right? I want to hear more from Seraphim. I want to hear more from Anne and JP and Leanna. You know, they were all very humble and didn't tell you about some of their amazing achievements, but I've had the great fortune of spending time, you know, on the phone or Zoom with them and learning all about these incredible things that they've done. And, you know, they're so wonderfully talented. It would just be a shame if they didn't feel like they could put their music out there. And artists like them, you know, however they're feeling, whether it's they're too old or they're too this or they're too that, there is a home for their music. And here tonight, we got to hear 4 different songs by very different artists that were so incredible. And I really want to thank you for highlighting that. And throughout all the work that you do with I Like You and interviewing Bad Parade artists and other artists and really getting their stories, because there's such beautiful, beautiful stories in music, and the diversity is so important, and we saw it here tonight. And I also quickly want to shout out Alexis Yam, who is here online, but you can't see her. She is Bad Parade's incredible intern, and if there's anything that looks good on social media, it was not me. It was all Alexis, and she is learning as much as she can about music publicity. She's a Ryerson student. She's brilliant, 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 and I'm so lucky to have her on board. And so Alexis is here moderating tonight. You can't see her, but she is here. And Alexis, we appreciate you so much, so thank you as well. Thank you, Tracy. This was so much fun. I really appreciated you inviting all of us on tonight.
Well, I've had so much fun, and you know what? That was our main goal for tonight, is to get the diversity out there and also the music. So thank you to Seraphim, Leanna, AV, JP, and I know Danny, he's off making another deal, but and Alexis and Carrie. So for everyone here, thank you so, so much. Diversity in music, maybe it will continue. I hope so. But for now, stay safe and healthy, and have a good night.